The late Judith Stewart and I founded Project Action some 18 years ago. We were afternoon readers at the St. George's Rest Home, and the matron called me one afternoon as a storm was approaching Bermuda, asking if my husband, Kim Swan, who was the golf professional at the time at the St. George's Golf Club, could loan her some golf carts to take the patients and residents from the rest home off the hill. I was extremely perplexed at that request because, as you all know, golf carts are all open, and I didn't see how it would protect these residents if they took them off in golf carts. But in subsequent chats with her, Judith and I decided to help her raise money to buy a van for the rest home. We started meeting on a weekly basis, Judith Stewart and I, at the Swizzle Inn. Just before we'd go to the rest home and read, and Judith would play the piano and we would sing with the residents. We were their weekly entertainment with the outside world. We were sitting in the Swizzle Inn planning and constructing a begging letter, to send out, when one man came up to us and asked us, "What are you girls doing?" So we explained to him what we were doing. He seemed to have had quite a few libations for lunch. So he looked at us and he emptied his pockets and gave us $7, and hence that was our first donation. We thanked him profusely. We asked him for his name. He says, "That's not necessary, just go buy a bus," and which we did. Later on in a meeting with Sir John Plowman, Kim shared that Judith and I were raising money for the St. George's Rest Home. Sir John Plowman offered to help to raise our awareness, but before he would totally commit, he gave us homework to do. He sent Judith and I out to all the rest homes on island to check what their needs were, if they would use such a transportation if it became available to them. Also, he wanted to know in those rest homes how many walkers they have. Walkers are the people who can walk by themselves, and how many wheelchair residents they had. And it took us a month. Judith and I, it took us a month when we went to every rest home. When we went back to Sir John Plowman with the results, he was shocked to see us. He said he didn't expect us to come back. Well, it was Christmas of 1999, and Sir John Plowman called and said that he had a Christmas gift for us. Well, we thought it was a box of chocolates. But to our surprise, he wanted us to meet some man named Mr. David Barber. He told us David had called him as he had saw his wish for the upcoming millennium, which was to raise monies to help us buy to buy a bus for seniors. So he had scheduled a meeting for 4 of us and asked us to come along with our statistics that we had gathered. In the middle of the meeting, David stopped me in my midst of my presentation, proceeded to tell me that I spoke too fast and he couldn't understand what I was saying, and exactly how much money did we need. So I says, each vehicle costs approximately $80,000. And he says, "Are you getting 1 or 2? I says, "Well, we'd eventually like to have 2, but definitely we'd get 1. And to our astonishment, David took his checkbook and wrote us out a check for $160,000. To be honest, we didn't know where to start, as we thought it would take years to raise these funds. So we decided to have a meeting with my neighbor, who's still my neighbor, Mr. Herman Baisden. Herman at the time was the director at PTB. And he gave us some very valuable suggestions. He suggested that we buy 1 bus first, put that into operation, get it up and running before we do anything else. So we took his advice. Our first vehicle arrived. When we looked at the vehicle, we didn't know exactly. We know we wanted a wheelchair accessible vehicle, and the young man that Sir John Plowman, of course, sent us to HWP and had a young man walk us through it, and we just saw a vehicle that had accessible for 4 wheelchairs, and we said it was within our budget, and that's the one we got. We didn't give a thought to length, weight, color, nothing else. It fitted our needs, and we got it. When the vehicle arrived, it was light blue and dark blue. And everyone gave us tongue lashings telling us that we intentionally ordered it blue and blue because we're for St. George's. We really didn't notice the color. So on purpose, when we got the second vehicle, we had it painted blue and blue to comfort those up in the West. I mean to say red and, see, I'm still blue and blue through and through. Red and blue to comfort those up in the West End. We started our service out at Central Philanthropy office in Hambleton. It was a charity-to-charity sharing endeavor. Our volunteers included Judith, Myra Durant, Mrs. Myrtle Edness, Mrs. Mills, and myself. We provided reception duties for the Center of Philanthropy. In exchange, they gave us a desk and a phone for Project Action clients to call and for us to make our scheduling appointments. Unfortunately, the center moved and grew, and we were out on our own. When we were there, we scheduled rides to all the rest homes on islands, giving the homes a minimum of 2 rides per month. Initially, with just the Blue Bus service, Project Action was fortunate to operate with only volunteers. Our dedicated volunteer bus drivers included the late Raul Clementino, Reverend Rodney Grimes, Mrs. Glenda Madura, and others who gave graciously of their time to our seniors for them to get out on a drive out from the monotony routine of their rest home lives. We then found affordable office space in St. George's and rented a small office on Rose Hill from the Corporation of St. George's, which we still are at that location. The office is managed by retired school teacher Mrs. Rose Douglas. The office is used for various things, and Rose will share that later, including managing the buses, helping seniors with photocopying, and other uses. We were inundated with calls for individual rides. Many sad calls came from family members who could not get their loved ones to their medical appointments. Many children and relatives called asking for assistance, saying they could not take any more time off work and was really in need in this type of transportation for their elderly loved ones. The late F. John Barrett was on our board at this time when we decided to order the second bus and designated that bus to taking on individual rides. This was to be a door-to-door service. In providing this essential needed service, we also recognized that we needed to hire a driver. Up until this time, like I said, we strictly operated with volunteers. We didn't know at the time, but we really hit the jackpot when we hired Ernest the Gorilla, AKA Shuby, who came highly recommended to us. He has been a godsend for so many and gets very attached to his passengers. Many times he calls me sharing that he opens up the Royal Gazette and there is a picture of one of his passengers. Many times he was even more saddened by the fact relatives did not see the need in informing him before reading the obituary. Shuby was paid as a part-time employee, but he worked diligently and later and earlier than was expected of him. Project Action has provided thousands of rides to thousands of people over the years. We have taken seniors to Cup Match, Christmas boat parades, to St. George's and Dockyard for drive-outs. We were fortunate to receive funding from various corporate sponsors and would like to make a special mention to Rubis for providing free diesel over the 16 years, and truly without this major contribution, the wheels would have stopped running long before now. Our former major sponsor, Validus Re, we thank you. We also thank Equator Re, whose donation kept the wheels turning for the last year. This is where the rubber meets the road. We cannot afford to keep the wheels running without any additional funds. Our appeal today is to seek funding from corporate Bermuda, the Bermuda government, and the entire Bermuda community that we've served. If you'd like for us to continue providing free transportation for seniors and the physically challenged, we need your financial support. We no longer have the Blue Bus, as we loaned it to Summer Haven in good faith, and it was running and in good condition, and was told last year that it was not repairable and it would be sold for parts, which they have done. They've given us a cash of $3,000, and the board accepted it because we needed the $3,000 to pay some expenses. Our present vehicle needs parts. It needs a rotor and other parts, and the parts alone are in excess of $3,000, exclusive of labor. Seniors and the physically challenged rely on Project Action for this service. Our dialysis patients to their doctor's appointments. Recently, Keith Simmons, who works for the government senior office in the government department, at the health department, relied on Project Action vehicle to get him to work, as his own vehicle was in the garage for repairs. We know that the ongoing recession affected local charities, especially the grassroots one, are suffering as we ride under the bigger charity radars. But I can honestly share that Project Action has filled transportation gap for seniors island-wide. The dialysis patients are not out for a joyride. They need those weekly treatments. Without dialysis treatments, we all know that death is imminent. When we first started, some said it wasn't a viable project. When we did get it off and running, others shared they gave us 2 years and because we would not be sustainable as we were giving free service to seniors and the physically challenged. Corporate Bermuda, Bermuda government, Bermuda community, we need for you to step up to the wicket. Years ago, when Project Action was faced with closure, just having completing a consultancy project, I personally donated $10,000 that kept the service in operation. I can no longer do that. As our last option, we are making a last-ditch appeal to the community. What do we need? For an immediate Band-Aid remedy, we need to raise $10,000 by July 15, 2016, to prepare the vehicle and to pay our outstanding obligations. If not, the charity will be forced to shut down permanently. 2, we need commitment for additional donations. Our annual budget is $110,000. We also are in need of a new vehicle, which approximately costs $65,000. The onus has to be on all stakeholders, corporate Bermuda, Bermuda government, and the community at large, to make the decision whether we continue to give the seniors who don't live near a bus stop, can't afford taxi fare, don't have relatives to assist them to get to their medical appointments, etc., and they do rely on Project Action for the free transportation. Bermuda, the ball is in your court to keep the wheels turning. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Rose Douglas. I work from the office. This charity, Project Action, is a wonderful charity. And the services to the homes were very, very vital and exciting for those who benefited from them. Unfortunately, we lost our community man, Raul Clementino, who offered his services for over 13 years. His bright smile and welcoming personality cheered the clients from various homes, seniors' homes. He helped them into the Blue Bus with a smile. He provided them with a much-needed stimulating outing, and we want to continue those outings, but we will need a new bus. They dressed in their Sunday best as they excitedly prepared for Raul to come and take them to different places in Bermuda. He knew that seniors needed to get outside of their daily living center. Raul's Project Action bus, or the Blue Bus, included the Easter Lily Residential Home, Francis Telford Nursing Home, Lorraine Rest Home, Matilda Smith Williams Seniors Residence, Serenity Gardens Nursing Homes, Sunset View Rest Home, Sylvia Richardson's Care Facility, Westmeath Residential and Care Home, and the RAA Seniors Club, and there were other clubs, other centers as well. Sometimes Raul drove a group from St. George's to Sands, where they had lunch in Dockyard, and then they drove back. Raul drove over 1,100 senior clients in the course of a year. He gave them stimulation, and most of all, he gave them joy. We need to continue providing that service. It's very important that seniors not just stay inside of a building, inside of the walls. The trips out are exciting, and not only that, they feel better. They've been out. They've had an outing, a valuable outing, and this bus is important to seniors. My mother was one of those who got to enjoy that offer. He was a unique person, and we miss him. I want to say that on top of providing for groups to go out, not just on tours or not just out for dinner, we provided a service that we weren't obligated, but we provided service that took people to funerals, from homes to a funeral. I was amazed at that. We even took some folks to the agricultural exhibition. That was very, very important. They would not have been able to get there. That may seem like something small to those of us who can jump on a bus and get there, but this was a big deal, and I would like us to be able to continue that. I know that I felt excited about it. I know that the volunteers that have worked with us, including Mr. Tucker and Mr. Carter, were excited to be able to help. We didn't pay them, but they were there. They were there for our seniors, because those seniors, our seniors, have already given and given. Now, Shuby, as we call him, Shuby gets up around 3 a.m. in the morning to prepare to get folks to dialysis. That is what that red bus that needs immediate repair helped to do. The appointments got earlier, so Raul, Shuby met their commitments by getting them there on time. He's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man. It has a lift, so wheelchairs are not a problem getting on. When you have to get to dialysis and that free ride is gone, then you have to find another way, and it's not free. And that's a little bit sad. And we're still getting people calling us to help with their parents, or even sometimes we were able to get seniors to a seniors picnic. Mind you, they didn't go swimming, and some of them did go as much as getting their toes overboard, because during the summer they have volunteers from the senior high schools that provide the extra support. So going to the beach to a picnic is very, very important for seniors. They need to continue feeling a part of our society, which they are a part of. They don't need to be, like in my granny's day, they were called shutaways or shut-ins. And I didn't understand that for a long time, because it seemed as if, from what my understanding of that time was, that after you reached a certain age, you were not expected to just go about the community. But this, we have transitioned that, and we want our people to be able to go out. We want our people not just to get to dialysis, they go to the dentist, they go to the fracture clinic, and we provide that free service. And as I said, we're also being used to get people to funerals. I know that we had a situation in our family, and it cost me and my sisters, my brother, $200 just to get my mother from Sylvia Rest Home to her niece's funeral and back. People don't have $200 to spend on that kind of transportation for a special taxi. So I'm saying to you, Bermuda, we need your help. We need it for your seniors, not so much for our needs, but for the community, the senior community as a whole. It would be a shame if we were no longer able to provide these services.
And the demand is growing.
The demand, yes, sir. The demand is growing, and it's not going to become less. The dialysis need is amazing in Bermuda, and of course you know that. And it's not diminishing. And I was surprised that a person would get up at 3 o'clock to get people to an appointment like that. And we do more than seniors. We do the physically challenged as well, you know. So it's a wonderful project, and we do need to continue. The charity status is still there.
We still have a charity
We still
status.
have it. We're
Because
still
we-
Charity
It's not enough
541.
to sustain you.
It's not sufficient at the moment.
No, this charity status doesn't give you money.
No.
The charity, no, the charity,
It just
yeah, the
helps
charity,
to
right.
receive money.
Right, the charity status is that we're registered charity and we're able to solicit funds in the community, but you don't get any money. That's just for you to operate.